It looked like Shedeur Sanders has responded to Joe Flacco being traded. It looked like Shedeur Sanders is speaking to the media, man. He got himself off of mute, and he is talking today, dog. Yes, the homeboy Shadur spoke about Joe Flacco, the little time that he shared there in Cleveland with him. And, yeah, it's just an interesting conversation.
It finally happened. Shedeur Sanders just blew the lid off the biggest rumor in football. The internet's been losing its mind over Joe Flacco's trade, fans acting like it's the next Avengers movie, and now Shadur just stepped in and ended it all, with the calmness of a man sipping Gatorade on the sideline. What did he say? What really happened behind the scenes? Oh, buckle up, because this story is pure chaos wrapped in a football helmet.
What did you think about the news today about Joe Flacco getting traded to Cincinnati?
Oh, Joe Flacco getting traded, he was definitely somebody I leaned on for wisdom, and I feel like he helped me a lot. He helped me a lot while my time being here in Cleveland and his time being here in Cleveland. So now, you know, everybody has their own destinies.
And just like that, Shedeur Sanders shut down an entire internet circus with the flick of a wrist. One statement, one action, one moment of pure quarterback confidence, and the Flacco fantasy came crashing down faster than a rookie trying to tackle Derrick Henry. For days, Cleveland was in chaos.
But somebody else that did talk about it, too, is Coach Prime. Coach Prime made it his business to speak about the Cleveland Browns. Now, I know earlier I went on my rant about the Cleveland Browns and about them potentially messing over Shadur. I still feel the same way. Now, they did unofficially release the depth chart, and they got the homeboy Shadur sitting at number 2 for right now. I still think, this is just my theory, I still truly believe cold-heartedly that Deshaun Watson is coming back.
Fans were losing sleep, sports analysts were speaking in riddles, and Twitter was basically a battlefield. Half the city thought Joe Flacco was packing his bags, ready to swoop in like the veteran savior in a Hallmark football movie. The other half swore this was all smoke and mirrors, but then came Shadur, calm, composed, and clearly unbothered by the madness swirling around him.
I told you guys, man. If you banking on Joe Flacco to lead you to the promised land, you're sadly mistaken. I told you that a 40-year-old Joe Flacco, that ship has sailed and there's nothing else he can bring to the table. And I told you guys, Joe Flacco was going to get moved. And there was one step before that when Joe Flacco got benched.
You could practically hear the collective "wait, what?" echo across the league when he finally addressed it. Because let's be honest, this rumor had grown legs, arms, and a full media tour. Everyone had their sources. Someone's cousin's barber's nephew swore Flacco was already in town. Fans were photoshopping him into Browns jerseys faster than ESPN could push another breaking news alert. And yet, through all the chaos, Shadur didn't flinch. He didn't rant. He didn't post cryptic emojis. He just did what confident quarterbacks do best. He shut the door on nonsense with pure presence.
There's a piece of news that broke while we were sitting down, and I was just curious to get your reaction to that. The Browns traded away Joe Flacco.
Yeah, I got that
Cincinnati.
text during practice.
I was just wondering what your reaction is.
I don't give a damn about the Browns at all. I care about the Colorado Buffaloes. I do love me some Shedeur Sanders, don't believe that.
The beauty of it all? The timing. The Browns had just started finding rhythm again, and suddenly the rumor mill decided to drop a nostalgia bomb from 2012. Joe Flacco, Super Bowl champ graybeard, walking encyclopedia of checkdowns. Fans started acting like this man was about to rewrite football history at age 39. It was hilarious, like watching people argue that a flip phone could outdo an iPhone 15 because it never crashes. And if you've made it this far, shaking your head at the chaos, go ahead, hit that subscribe button and tap the notification bell, because this ride's only getting wilder. But that's what Cleveland does best. It panics, it dreams, and it loves drama.
Here's why. Shadur is the number 2. I feel good about this. I did not like Joe Flacco being the number 2 behind Dylan Gabriel as the number 1. It was stupid. It was dumb to me. It was absolutely dumb. It made no sense. Shadur being the number 2 means there is a viable path to starting. Now, it might take an injury to Dillon Gabriel. We wish that upon no man. But at least there is a viable path to starting when Shedeur Sanders is the number 2. Now, Gabriel has more pressure on him, I would suggest, than any quarterback in football, which is the wildest thing to say for a rookie making his second start.
Then Shedeur walked in like, "Relax, I got this." Not in words, but in the way he carried himself. The man exudes the kind of confidence you can't coach. He doesn't play like someone looking over his shoulder. He plays like someone holding the keys and daring anyone to try and take them. The Flacco rumor wasn't just a distraction, it was a test. And Shedeur handled it like he's been waiting for this exact chaos his whole life. The media, of course, wasn't ready for that kind of composure. They were foaming at the mouth, ready to spin it into a quarterback controversy. Every sports show had a countdown clock. Is Flacco coming to save the Browns? As if Shedeur hadn't just been throwing lasers all season. The narrative got so wild, you'd think the Browns were about to film a reality show, Quarterback Island only one can survive.
And they gave the keys to Dillon Gabriel. And I've always been telling you guys on this channel that you got to play the rookies. You got to see what they got. You got to see if they can perform. I told you guys, after the draft, when you draft 2 quarterbacks, one in the 3rd round and one in the 5th round, you're banking on one of them to be your franchise quarterback.
But Shedeur? He just smiled through it, probably sipping something cold while the internet melted down. What makes it funnier is that Shedeur didn't even have to say much. His response was almost poetic in its simplicity, just enough to send every sports blog scrambling to rewrite their headlines. One calm action, and suddenly everyone realized, oh, he's not just playing quarterback, he is the quarterback. That's when the tone shifted. The doubters went quiet, the Flacco fan club disbanded overnight, and Browns fans went from panic to praise, faster than you can say QB1. It was the kind of moment that separates good players from stars, because this wasn't about stats, it was about control. Shedeur didn't just kill a rumor, he took command of a narrative that wasn't his to begin with. Every great athlete hits that point where they stop being talked about and start setting the tone for how they're talked about. This was that moment. Shedeur Sanders just put his foot down, and the entire sports world had no choice but to take notice.
The Cincinnati Bengals have just traded with the Cleveland Browns to acquire Joe Flacco. Ladies and gentlemen, that has Dillon Gabriel, who didn't play that badly this past weekend, as your QB1 with, logically speaking, Shedeur Sanders moving up as your QB2.
And the reactions? Oh, they were priceless. Twitter threads flipped like pancakes. The same people who swore Shedeur was too young or not ready were suddenly acting like they'd believed in him since Pop Warner. Memes turned from Flacco edits to Shedeur highlight reels. The mood swing was Olympic-level impressive. One day, fans were begging for Flacco's return. Next, they were calling Shedeur the future of Cleveland. It's like everyone simultaneously realized they were betting against the wrong guy.
Because Shedeur Sanders, one of the most popular quarterbacks in all of the NFL, is hovering behind you. And the world's favorite player is a backup quarterback. Because you don't know how good nor how bad he is. Now, Gabriel went in last week against the Vikings and looked like a competent starter. Only quarterback, if I'm not mistaken, this season, 2 touchdowns and no interceptions against a Brian Flores defense.
Meanwhile, Flacco himself probably just wanted a nap. The poor guy became the centerpiece of a storyline he didn't even start. Somewhere, he's sitting with a cup of coffee like, I just wanted to play football, not star in a soap opera. But that's what happens when you have a young quarterback making noise and a veteran name floating around. People start connecting dots that don't even exist. It's the NFL version of gossip, and Shedeur just exposed how ridiculous it can get. Even the locker room dynamic changed. Teammates rallied around him like they had just watched their captain swat a fly that had been buzzing for weeks. That's leadership in its rawest form, not the loud speeches or dramatic pep talks, but the ability to command calm when everyone else is spiraling. Shedeur didn't just end a rumor, he restored order. And in Cleveland, that's practically a miracle.
There's a breaking news in the AFC North. The Bengals, after getting their asses absolutely smacked the last couple weeks without Joe Burrow, are trading for the other Joe Cool, Joe Flacco. They go from Cool Joe to the coolest Joe. Ty Schmidt, you are seemingly flabbergasted by this move. Why are you reacting the way that you are reacting?
Because the Packers play the Bengals this week. Joe Flacco just beat him a couple weeks ago at the Browns. He's going to come back in, beat him again. Joe Flacco's going to beat the Packers.
The best part? He made it funny. Because while everyone else was panicking, Shadur was giving off, "This is beneath me" energy. It's like watching a cool kid at lunch brush off drama while everyone else's tray is flying across the cafeteria. You could almost feel the collective embarrassment from those who doubted him. The overreactions, the speculation, the endless debate segments. It all aged in dog years the second Shadur handled it. And let's face it, the irony is golden. For years, Cleveland's quarterback situation has been a punchline. But now, for the first time in ages, the joke's on everyone else. Shadur just proved that the Browns don't need saving. They already have their guy. The Flacco rumor will go down as one of those bizarre off-season fever dreams people laugh about later. Remember when we thought Joe Flacco was coming back? Yeah, good times.
Dylan's going to start, I'm sure, this week. But, maybe Shadur now will get some backup reps. They'll try to get him up to speed. I know they want to get a look at him. I want to get a look at him. I think everybody wants to get a look at him. But I think it's a great move for Sanders and opens up the door for him. I don't know what the future is of Bailey Zappi. Maybe he's the backup. I don't know. But this clearly is a move that spells that the Browns want to get a look at Shedeur Sanders.
What's wild is how symbolic it all feels. A veteran ghost from the past haunting a team trying to build its future, and the future walks in, smiles, and locks the door. That storybook stuff, the confidence, the poise, the timing, it all screamed that Shadur isn't just playing in the NFL, he's owning it. He's the face of the next generation, and he's not waiting for anyone to hand him permission.
You woke up this morning and you were just speaking on how the QB3 is actually the only quarterback that put in a W at Cleveland Browns, and just like that, Joe Flacco has gone to the Bengals. Everybody was wondering why the sudden switch. Why is everybody all of a sudden positive Shedeur Sanders? I tell you why everybody is so positive Shedeur Sanders. Because Joe Flacco is now gone, and your QB2, who you saw on Sunday, is not going to be able to deliver as the QB1.
So now the question isn't whether he's QB1. It's how far he can take this team when he's in full command. Because one thing's certain, the kid just passed his biggest off-field test with flying colors. But what if this is just the beginning of Shedur's takeover season? Could this be the moment the league finally wakes up? Stick around, hit subscribe, and turn on that notification bell, because you won't want to miss what comes next.